What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this Around the Ropes YouTube exclusive. Now, you guys know how big I cover upstate wrestling. I've basically have made a name up with upstate wrestling, and our guest tonight is making his debut, but I have to give him his proper introduction. You either know this guest either as Utica's bastard child, Bobby Bates, or Robert Bates IV, but it's Rob Parry. Rob, how you doing tonight? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing very well, my friend, and people would definitely take note and be smart to know me as Robert Bates from now on. And we'll get that out of the way right then and there in the introduction. And I hope you're doing well, my friend. Things are well on my end. It's been a few weeks since I've seen you. You look good.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it has been a few weeks. It was definitely the trust and tapings. We'll get to that later on. But before we get into the tapings and what you've done with Immortal Championship Wrestling, I want to get into what got you into pro wrestling. Was there a match? Was there a moment that made you sit there and say, I want to get into this crazy sport?
Man, I feel like that's the cliche at the end of the day, right? Like everybody's got that thing and that moment, that person, that superstar. You know, when you're a child, a youth, you know, just like I was, just like many other wrestling fans. I would think that I had a bit more of an edgy taste. So as silly as it sounds, back in like 95, 96, my mother, funny enough, she brought me to an ECW event in Utica, New York. And that was my first introduction to I want to say hardcore wrestling, because obviously it was, but you know, that era of ECW wasn't exactly the most family friendly. And there was this gentleman there by the name of Raven, you know, and that might have been the coolest individual in the world to me at that point in time. I ended up going home with a magazine that night after seeing all that action, you know, and I don't remember all of it, obviously, bits and pieces and just moves and things. But, you know, the one thing that I'll never forget is going home with the magazine with Raven, you know, propped up in the corner with a crimson mask over his face. And I think at that point, I knew what I wanted to do. And it took a few years. I was young at that point, but when I was about 8 years old, another gentleman named Kane, in about 99 WrestleMania 2000 time era was probably when it took off for me. And I was like, oh yeah, these are the people I want to be. This is what I want to do. This is what I was born to do. And I think for years I tortured my mother and possibly broke many pieces of furniture, honing my trades as a young man, you know. And that's probably the best story. That and my dad was a big wrestling fan. I got an N64 for like my 6th or 7th birthday, and the first game I got, whether I liked it or not, was WCW versus NWO Revenge. That was a big thing for me too, man. You know, video games.
Yeah, and for the fans who are watching who may not know, N64 was actually a game console back in the day.
Yeah. Love them polygons.
Not trying to outdate either of us, but you know, for the people who are watching who may have been born like, you know, 04, 05, who are going to turn around and watch this and go, "What's an N64?"
Yeah. A lot of kids grew up on GameCube at that point. Now they're in their 20s and stuff. You little whippersnappers, you know.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I remember. Well, my first game system I had was the GameCube.
Yep, very cool. That was one of my favorites, you know, personally. And of course, I say the GameCube, and then bam, you're one of those people. Look at that, huh? Yeah, I calls it like I sees it, man.
The funny thing is, you're gonna laugh. I went from that to having the Xbox 360.
Okay.
I had that for about 10 years. Until all of a sudden, I went to go play it one day, and I got that infamous Ring of Death.
Oh, that happened to many people I know, and that's exactly why I've been a Sony guy since like 2011. And you know, GameCube, Xbox, and PlayStation 2. I feel like I was a spoiled child because I had all three at one point. I loved my games. You know what I'm saying? little troublesome youth, but I played a lot of games growing up. It kept me out of trouble for the most part in many situations and circumstances. So that's something I always stuck with as well. You know, you play the games, you work hard, you play the games, you bust your butt, and you get where you need to be. You know, stay out of trouble. And yeah,
I know I laugh because people look at me now. They're like, oh, don't you play video games? I'm like, yeah, I don't have time.
yeah, and it's dwindling more and more, and it's funny because like I was just thinking the other, like I'm 32 now, and I'm just like I want to go fishing more. I want to go hiking more. I want to go do things more. Like take my dog out. It's as much as I love my video games. There is that that line that it's like, oh man, this shit's like taking over my life. You know what I mean? You got to step
Yeah.
away for a bit, and you know, just
Well,
there's more to
like,
life. You know?
exactly. Like I'll put it this way: people are like, oh, don't you play video games? I'm like, yeah. How can I play video games when I have a full-time job? I have a
Yep.
podcast that's sort of on the rise.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, I also have a girlfriend.
Yeah.
So
Well, you have 2 more things than I, my friend. No.
But you actually met the girlfriend.
I know she was lovely. I hope she's doing well.
Yeah, she's hanging in there. She's
Good.
doing pretty well. And I joke with her. I'm like, eventually, I'm going to get you in the ring.
Oh yeah, that's the goal, right? Yeah.
I'm like, and I joked her. I'm like, you have a hard right hook, as I learned, you know, unintentionally.
You could tell, you know.
I sat there. I'm like, I have enough connections.
It's like, first date. It's like, you want to come see these dudes wrestle?
Yeah.
What a crowd to meet. You know what I'm saying? We'll go to Denny's after. You know, it'll be all good. You know.
Well, it's funny for the tapings. Last time I saw you, we actually went to Denny's.
I know, that's what I'm talking about. Everyone does.
That's the typical. Well, it's either Denny's or it's Waffle House.
Yeah, I had to take off earlier, else I would have hopped to dinner with you guys. But I had friends, since I live a good amount of ways now up north. You know, I don't get down to the Utica area as much anymore. But it's always nice to get down there because the food's immaculate. So, you know.
Yeah, no, it was definitely. I mean, definitely it was a lot of fun. We'll definitely get into the UWE stuff here in a second, but I want to dive first into Immortal, because that's kind of where I got introduced to you under your other person name that I won't mention their name.
And I appreciate that. You're talking about
yeah,
Bobby Bates. Yeah, Utica's bastard. That's who you're referring to. Yes.
Yes. Well,
it's stuck in the throat nowadays. It's disgusting, you know.
Well, I want to ask, because there was the one match you had, and unfortunately, it's the match that kind of put you on the shelf for a while.
Triple threat hardcore match for my property.
Yes.
Yep.
Now,
go ahead.
Just take us through that moment. Obviously, for people who may not know, it was yourself, Richie the Madman, and Sergeant Fury in the triple threat match for the hardcore title at Cobleskill. And I will sit there and say this. I remember this match. I remember being there that day because it was hot as hell that day.
It was a very warm day.
Yes. Yes. But just take us through the moment. Obviously, you're supposed to be in this match. The three of you guys are putting this match together. You get into the ring, and then all of a sudden it happens. Take us through the moment when the injury happens and kind of what transpired after that.
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to say, because this is my first time speaking on this on camera or in any form of media, I suppose, is I had every intention on leaving Cobleskill that day with my championship, my Disruption Network Undisputed Hardcore Championship. And Richie the Madman, you could bank on this, because I know you'll be watching at some point, boy. I'm coming from my property. And you've been around UWE, and we'll get to that soon too. But I'm there. And I know you feel that I'm there. And once I get my hands on you, I will get what's mine. And this is a different person. And I'll see you soon. we'll go there in the injury wise, my friend. I apologize for that. Sometimes I go off, and you never go into a match expecting to be injured, obviously, and I'm a larger fellow. You know what I mean? I've already had an injury from 2018 that almost took me, 2 years to recover from, and then I was finally able to come home to Immortal, and February went amazing. April even better. Getting my hands on Fury in this match. You just don't, after a few months of just coming home, you don't expect to have to leave again. The moments leading up to it, blurry but accurate. I was on the upper hand of Sergeant Fury, and I was getting the better of him. And unfortunately, I let my temper and my frustrations get the best of me, and I made an ill-calculated attempt. And I was uplifted and thrown 12 feet up over the turnbuckle and the top rope to the floor, where I tore my ACL and my meniscus 1 and 2. When you're falling through the air like that, it's almost like slow motion, but it happens so quickly. It's hard to explain. It's like that, and I knew immediately when I hit the ground what happened. And with every ounce of fight that I have in me and want to use, unfortunately, when you have an injury like that, it's not something I could exactly get up from. Knowing that I lost my opportunity to get what is rightfully mine, what I deserved, what was stolen from me, knowing that I lost that, knowing that I let people down possibly that believed in me, whether I care or not, I felt like I ruined something that was supposed to be beautiful. And that is true. And it's hard to come back from that, to be lifted by people I've feuded with, people that I've considered friends, people that I didn't talk to for a very long time, to have them lift me and carry me to the back like brothers again was interesting. All these emotions, knowing that I could possibly have an injury that completely uproots and ends my career, is something I'll never be able to forget. And I hope nobody in the wrestling business or anybody with a dream or following their dream or their passion ever even remotely comes close to understanding what I'm talking about. So I hope that answers your question, and I'm sorry to ramble.
I was letting you tell the story, and because I remember, it's funny. I've been to a lot of Immortal shows. The first show I was at was St. Johnsville. I'm trying to remember. Oh, I don't remember which one it was, but all I remember from it was supposed to be Garrett Holiday versus Nick Sullivan for the Northeast title. That was my first show. And ever since then, I've been to a lot of them. And there's certain things that stick out to me in this crazy run that I've been on with doing the show and being at Immortal shows. The spot when you went over that top rope and you came down and you saw all the referees coming right to you. And I'm sitting there, I'm going, yeah, this is not good. Because I'm like, now obviously I know in pro wrestling certain things happen to help the story and whatnot. I'm like, yeah, this isn't story. This is as real as, and I saw it just depleted you at that moment when it all happened. Now, when you went over that top rope and you fell, how was it something where it took you a couple seconds once the adrenaline came through that you realized?
Not at all. Not even remotely, man. just falling. Everything felt like I was falling like I've learned to, you know what I'm saying? Like you're trained to professionally, you know what I'm saying? You want to fall a certain way to impact as or take, you know, as much of the impact as you can absorb it. And just the way I fell, unfortunately, 300-pound body, you know, falling 12 feet at an odd angle at a decent speed. As soon as I hit the mat, all I heard was, and it's funny when you go back to YouTube or on the IWTV app and you watch the match because it is on there. You and I go up and over. You could see the look on my face as soon as I land, and it's funny to me looking back at it because I've watched it 10,000 times, of course, because I don't know what I am. But you know, to watch yourself get injured, you see how serious I am every match. You see the look of intensity on my face, and to watch that wipe away, and just that moment of vulnerability where I'm like, oh, there goes my career. You know, as soon as I heard that noise, I thought my career was over. You know, I had a 12 pack in the back waiting for me. You know, nice and cold on ice, waiting for me to win my championship back, and I certainly didn't get to enjoy that either.
So I guess actually, I kind of that's my next question though. Did you think you would ever get back into a ring after that happened? I know you said you thought your career was going to be done. Did you ever think you'd get step foot back into a ring again?
Despite the people that do care about me, despite their better judgment or my better judgment, I should say, I always, you never not want to give up hope, you know. And after a few months, when I started to feel better, started walking a little bit more. It's uh, it's a journey, man, and I'm just over a year, and I feel that sometimes like I'm healed up 100%, and then other times I'm like, that sucked. You know, it's
Yeah.
something that I'm gonna have to live with for the rest of my life. And right now, the only thing I'm really trying to do is invest in. It's not a spot, and I don't, you know, I'm not a sponsor, obviously, but I'm gonna be saving up for an Anaconda knee brace. They got some shoulder stuff, you know. Hopefully, their equipment can help me out with some of the bodily damage I've taken over the years, you know. And it's been a short 6 years of wrestling, and it feels like a lifetime. You know, the brotherhoods you make and the people you meet along the way, including you. You know, so I'm hoping I can take care of myself. Sorry, again, you ask me questions, man, and I'll ramble. But it's
Honestly,
not that I never thought I'd do it, because one way or another I'd be in the ring, whether that's managing someone, helping some of the younger talent, or helping someone find out who they are, just like I needed to do, just like I'm doing now currently.
yeah, we're definitely going to touch that. And what you just said though about the rambling thing, and I said this before, and I've been doing this podcast long enough now. The guests I love are the ones where you ask them one question and they go on like a 5 minute rant.
I appreciate it. You know, I know I'm obnoxious. You knew what you were getting into, man. You know,
I, but you have sort of had a character change quite a bit.
I certainly
And
have.
I joked with you at the last set of tape-ins that you kind of look like Bull Buchanan now if he was in Right to Censor. Bull Buchanan, but with hair.
That's true. Yes. I kind of agreed because he was bald. I look like I'm going bald with my hair up. Um, during my injury, and this is the first time I get to touch on this, and during my injury, I may have been going through a lot of depression and things like that. And this isn't even a work. This is actual shit. This is wrestling and reality mixing. And it's funny to me. And some people could like it, and they can or they can't. It doesn't matter to me because I don't give a damn. They'd walk away with my foot 10 inches up their ass either way. You know what I'm saying? Uh, when I was injured, I was introduced to some therapeutic delights that have opened my mind substantially to what I am, to what I could be, to what you are, to what you could be. And the thing with this character is it's not even a character. It's more of a rework and a rewritten brain pattern of who I once was and what I once thought. And I can show these people what I mean, but they have to trust me. They have to take my hand, and they have to come with me on this journey. And it will be beautiful.
I just got vibes of Bray Wyatt. I'm just gonna say that.
That's a massive, massive role model, and I've heard that for years. And I don't mean to. It just happens that way, I guess. And for
Totally
the
get
good
it.
and the bad, for the good and the bad.
I believe me, I totally get it. But I remember when I first saw the Robert Bates the fourth, and
I
obviously
am
fans
RB4
RB4,
and
yes,
forever.
and fans will get a chance to see it in the upcoming UWE Ultimate episode.
My first match in 13 months.
Yeah, and it was almost like I agree about the Bull Buchanan, but I almost go a step further, saying the whole thing like with Bray Wyatt. It almost feel like if Bray Wyatt wasn't right to censor.
What a multiverse.
But no, speaking about UWE, how did you come across UWE? How did that whole thing come to fruition with you becoming a part of that whole thing?
So funny enough, I don't know how it first came up. I know I met Craig, I believe, at one of the shows. Possibly, I heard of Craig years ago when he was in Clark Mills, and he had a training facility. It's a small area, though. You know what I mean? It's hard enough to to figure everything out, much less in a small area like that. So Craig expanded. He got to Oneida, and I think he just he let me know that he was that way, and I was looking for a facility to kind of test myself, see what I could still do, and really test the limits of my athleticism while getting back in shape and trying to rework my injuries. And Craig was there for me. So I owe a lot to that man, and UWE is home to me. That is my training facility. I highly recommend anybody to check out UWE in Oneida, New York, if they want to learn the basics of professional wrestling, as well as some of the advanced features. Whether you're a wrestler, a student, you want to train people, years from now, you want to be a manager, you want to be a referee, you could learn it all. And we got a lot of people and a lot of talent that could help you with that. Not trying to give Craig a plug, obviously, but I love the man and he deserves it all. Not many people are kind in this business. And unfortunately, listen, I'll take sugar over fucking vinegar any day. Pardon my language. You get what I'm saying? And I'm a nice guy until I'm not. And unfortunately, in this business, people test people's patience, and maybe that's why I was the way I was for so long.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and you are allowed to curse. You're more than welcome to curse.
I try to be a professional. I am elevated currently, and I'm working on me.
I get that. Looking at UWA, obviously you've been. The one thing I'm going to say though with UWA, when the shows first started back in January, I think it was January. I think the first set of tape-ins. The interactions, and you guys can go back and watch these on UWE's YouTube page.
It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. You could see a lot of people that are going to make it one day, especially on the independent circuit.
Absolutely. But the interaction with you and Billy Ann Wolf, and the backstage stuff.
I was a bit more of a twisted individual at that point, and unfortunately, I do regret some of the actions that I've had. Like I said, I'm continuing every day to work on myself, and it's an everyday struggle.
No, but I definitely will say I thought it was done well. Now, of the people you've worked with at UWE, obviously you've been doing this now for some time. Who do you see from UWE as being that could make that next step?
It's difficult, but see, and this is the thing, because you make a lot of friendships in this business, and I'm just going to be non-biased here. Zach Striggs, Z Wu from Immortal Championship Wrestling, in my opinion, has made leaps and bounds and strides in order to hone his craft and improve himself. And since the first day I met him, seeing his selling, seeing everything he does. It's smooth. It's creamy. It's creamy, baby. You know what I'm saying? And I do consider him a buddy. And this has nothing to do with what I'm, why I'm saying this. I believe in the kid. And
No, go ahead.
yeah, like even it's hard, man. I see people, Anthony, Anthony Finesse. You know what I'm saying? Finesse, Frankie. I believe Frankie Stomper. I believe, for a young man, not even, in his 20s yet, I've seen this kid, grow and learn since he was, a kid, and goddamn, he was an ugly kid at that. But, he had that very punchable face even back then. And you look at him now and his, what he's doing is pretty impressive to see. You know what I mean? A lot of good kids, a lot of good kids. I'll stop there, but Chris Jackson, Jeff Nova, when his fucking stupid ass actually shows up, he's again years. It's been a couple years. These guys putting in the work, and it's impressive to see where they've come. And that just goes to show you where determination and hard work comes and pays off. And there's been many other, young men that I see that are hungry, up and coming. We've had people coming from all over upstate New York in general, even I believe Massachusetts. You're in Long Island, you know what I'm saying? Like it comes full circle. When people love wrestling, they'll come to wrestling, and that's what I love about wrestling, and that's why I love UWE, because it does feel like a brotherhood.
I totally agree. And I mean, I agree with everything you're saying about UWE. I know there's been a few episodes I've missed for various reasons, but anytime I get a chance to come up there, I always laugh with Craig, because I'm like, yeah, I have the farthest commute of anybody.
Full disclosure, and I do want to say this on camera because I hope he sees it one day. Trevor Terry, you got that tight ass, son. You got that tight ass. I hope someone shows you that one day, man. Yeah.
What, shows him his tight ass?
Oh yeah, well I'll do that. You know what I'm saying? I bust, man. If there's one thing people do know, you know what I mean. I could be the biggest asshole in the world, in character in general. But I am one of the biggest ball busters you'll ever meet behind that curtain. And man, it's hilarious to me, some of the characters I've met, because I feel like I make people so uncomfortable because they don't know how to react to me being so goofy. And I love a good rip, man.
I'm going to go back to the early days of UWA, what I was talking about before with the interactions. I remember watching the video and watching Billy's reaction to what you were saying. I'm sitting there going, oh my God, this is brilliant.
Yeah. I like playing off of things, I like it off the top of the head, preferably, you know what I'm saying? And that's, I feel like that makes the magical moments usually, and I'll have references and things for things I want to say sometimes. But I think the thing you're referring to is when I smelled her fear.
Yeah.
It smelled lovely. It smelled like clean shampoo. I don't know,
Yeah,
Billy's a sweetheart, man. She really is. What a fucking doll,
It was definitely, I remember sitting there, and then you were talking about Frankie before. I missed not the last set of tapings, the ones beforehand. And I forgot what I was doing. And suppose I found out Frankie did a whole bit with Garrett.
Oh, wow. See, I didn't even realize there's a lot of things I got to catch up on, too. I've been doing nothing but working up north in the Adirondacks and busting my ass trying to just heal my leg and make money.
Well, basically, I'll put it this way. He did a whole thing with Garrett that he turned around because I wasn't at like I said, not the last tape, and the one beforehand. And he turned around and the whole thing with Garrett, basically kept referring to Garrett as me and kept referring to Wrestle Fandom as Around the Ropes Podcast.
God damn it. So stupid. So stupid. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Exactly. I was sitting there.
He's a goofball, man. I wish you knew years ago.
I was sitting there, and again, I didn't know about it until all of a sudden the next day was Dynasty, and I saw a few of them there, and they're like, "Oh, you got to wait," or it may have been the next day, but like the next time I'd seen them, I'm like, "Okay." All of a sudden, Garrett posts a video, I think I must have seen this video 100 times. And I'm trying so hard not to laugh. And I'm just going to give this little teaser. Hopefully it makes it to the episode that's coming out this Friday. But there is a bit that we did backstage with myself, Anthony, or Frankie, and Gary. Wait till you guys see this. I guarantee you're going to probably go back and rewatch this part at least half a dozen times in addition to.
I love it. It gives me something to look forward to. You know, I'm looking forward to it. The first Scylla bomb on that episode too, and I was told that it was a thing of beauty. But I just send people on different types of trips, but they're all so equally beautiful, if you get what I'm saying.
Oh, I definitely get what you're saying. But Rob, I do appreciate you hopping on. It means a lot. The door is always open for you to come back on whenever you would like. The door is always open. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It meant a lot to me. It meant a lot just to even get, some stuff off my chest. You know what I mean? The weight of the world is off my shoulders just a little bit more. And I'm hoping the wrestling world is looking forward to seeing more of Robert Bates IV coming. And I certainly am.
Oh, I can't wait to see you bring back Bull Buchanan and Bray Wyatt in the right to censor. Oh wait, no, that's what it would be. Okay, I'm just gonna say this right now. The character you have is the love child of Bull Buchanan and Bray Wyatt if they had a child into the right to censor.
That is just one ugly ass baby. Take care of yourself, my friend. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Have a nice trip.
Guys, for Rob, I'm John. This has been Around the Ropes Podcast. We'll catch you guys next time.